back from that. War is terrible, and what you experience in war, and we're fragile. And in one case, there was this, of course, he had nightmares, and he couldn't, I don't think, I mean, I was working for about 6 months, but he had made no progress in that time. It was as if he was in a black hole of memory that just didn't ever really seem to have a bottom. Maybe there is a bottom, maybe there isn't. It's a terrible thing. And I don't know that everything you can be healed of. I don't have the answer to that. It may not be.
And I have a client right now who just came back from Iraq, who was a helicopter pilot. And she's doing this work. She found Rodger's book in her station in Germany, and found it and found us and found me, and we've been working together now for 8 months. And the dreams are just taking her through step by step. So, you know, I think that there's
depends on the,
yeah,
on the level of
yeah,
control
yeah.
and what you experience in the battlefield.
Right.
Totally.
You said that this guy was from Vietnam. You worked with him for 6 months and didn't see any change. As a psychoanalyst, he's still working. In 6 months, we're hardly beginning. So I was wondering, how long does this process that you're talking about when you work with somebody to do this dream work, how long does it usually take, or what's the range?
Well, you're totally right. 6 months, and that's all he gave me. Maybe had he stayed, we could have worked through it. Usually, I have clients that stay from one session to 20, 30 years that are with me now, and through all the evolution of themselves. And all the people in North of Eden are all clients that have moved to the third stage, mostly, and are taking clients now. Christa and Rodger, of course, are analysts in their own right, and also doing their own work. So it's ongoing. So what usually will happen at some point, your dreams just become totally flat. There's no, like you say, a dissonance between. If everything is just you're walking always with the divine is what they ended up with, and it starts coming to a place where they're living it out, getting it out of life. Doesn't mean they don't do other work or work that's cleaning out more stuff. The dreams really show you where you are. You get to a point where you're clear.
But it's a process that usually takes years rather than months.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry to give the impression. He just left. Oh, yeah. I would say, goodness, yeah. It's a life work. Okay. Absolutely. Yes.
Can you elaborate a little on how Jung's theories of dream interpretation and Freud's differ from yours?
Obviously, I've read Carl Jung and I studied and I like him, but he was self-taught. He did nobody ever worked with Carl Jung, and the way he interpreted his dreams it was terrible. I mean, he was on the right track, but he never really challenged himself to feel into what he was experiencing. He would always go to, oh, this means this, I should be a scientist. There was this kind of this octopus thing in the water. Oh, this means I should be a scientist. And he went out and he did it. I think a lot of Jungian work and the followers of Jung often have a tendency to not understand feelings, and then if you work with discussion, and there's some others in here that are doing that, it's the difference. And I know that maybe some Jungians would disagree, but I believe that for the most part, that's the missing piece. I think they're on the right track with understanding symbol, but without the feeling, it's completely that with, oh, great, and it's very new agey, and it's not healthy. The Freudians, of course, I like what Sigmund Freud has done, because he's helped to show us how the ego misfires, is dysfunctional, and if you just do Carl Jung without Sigmund Freud, you're not going to be able to really help a person see how the mythology is using them. Freud was very smart in understanding how that worked. I don't believe his dreams interpretation were worth very much, as Rodger said, but I believe it contributed this incredible awareness of how our mythologies function, and also material around children and parents and all that at the time was amazing, but now you can see very clearly in our work, one of the biggest issues is the incest that goes on between the mother and son, not sexually, but mentally or emotionally. It's a big part of this work. It comes up over and over again, especially for men who transfer their issues with their mothers onto their wives or women and become, in a way, caught up in a cycle of avoiding the male work. And I would say, at least up where I live, there's a lot of men that are lost. We don't call them who-wares, are kind of lost in the mother. So Freud did a lot of work around that. He used it around, I don't think he understood the complexity of it that dreams will give you, but the two of them are awesome, but we need to go beyond. I stand in both, and I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have a profound understanding of what they taught. But we need to go beyond them by taking it not to an interpretation of the dream, but rather to looking at the feelings that come up and really getting to an understanding of what that person is experiencing. It's so easy for analysts to intellectualize the experience and explain it, rather than go into the marrow of the psyche with the client. This is what we must do, and we have to take our knowledge and leave it at the door and just go into this insanity or this other world with them, which is a dream that opposes that.
Can you give one example of where your interpretation of that feeling would carry further than Freud and Jung? I'm trying to understand, you're talking about theory, and I'm trying to think about a specific case that you might have gone further.
Well, it's simple, really. It's just every discussion. Like a person might say, well, I have a tremendous fear of women. Okay, they might say that, and you're discussing it, and you go back and find out issues with the mother, and maybe you never even had a date, maybe you never even had sex, severely, and the fear is there, and that's, I would say that's not it. That is an understanding that, yes, there is this fear, but I don't believe I know anything about the person, knowing that he's afraid. I have to understand the dream gives you keys and experiences so that you can go down this ladder of experiential feeling. Because it's not enough to know a feeling and put a label on it and discuss it. I mean, that has its place. But the dream challenges us to go down and actually go through layer after layer after layer of experience that the dream will even give you. It'll give you examples of feelings that you've never had that relate to these things, and it's recognizing them as they come up and not putting an interpretive spin and sending it out the door. I think there's an intelligence about dreams that is missing, and I've shown what that is, and we're trying to place that in everything else. Knowledge of dreaming, to use Freud and Jung, is like great, but it's the actual moving through the experience of descending to the layers of the psyche that is extremely weak. People don't do that, they don't know how to do that, and that's what we're